How did we get to this four-nation tournament? How did it come up, and how long has it been kind of in the works?
Not that long, Dan. We needed a spark. I think people have grown tired of the All-Star breaks for all the corporate sponsors and those kinds of things. I think the skills competitions have all getting old, and I think we needed some kind of spark. I think we saw and I say we, I mean the NHL and hockey saw the Olympics on the horizon, and let's do something. So that's the amazing thing about this four nations, but I think that this is a one-off. I don't think we ever see four nations again. This was a stopgap, despite how successful it was.
Oh,
The
wow.
NHL has already said they're going to do World Cup of hockey, and that could be eight nations, eight countries. So I think this is a one-off. I don't think we see four nations again in this exact format with the Olympics next year.
Do you think that's a mistake?
No, listen, the only downside, and we're really nitpicking because this thing was unbelievable, made for television, gimmicky, and we obviously got the right matchup in the end in the right places. There are still some great players. I mean, if you want best on best, Alexander Ovechkin's not there. David Pastrnak is not there. These are, outstanding players. And there's five or six other guys. And listen, but this could have gone awfully wrong, right? We could have had the Finns and Swedes, and while they hate each other, they despise each other at least as much as America and Canada does. I'm not sure 9.3 million people would have tuned in the U.S.
I was wondering about this. If they did this again, could you see where there was a draft of Russian players? Each nation got to bring somebody just so I can incorporate some of these great players. And maybe you don't want to recognize Russia, but you still have to recognize the players who play in your league. Could you have something like that? Would that work for these nations?
Something, absolutely, because you can't do another one of these tournaments without those guys. It's not then best on best. The draft is an interesting idea. I hadn't heard that. We've done world team before, right? So everybody other than, U.S., Canada, and so and so. I want to give Greg Wyshynski credit because he writes for ESPN.com. I don't know if it's his idea, but he told me about it. He broached the idea of a summit series so we can just get the U.S., Canada, okay, and are assured of that. And the 1972 Summit Series, people of our age, Dan, remember Paul Henderson scores the goal. They had a best of 8, and it was simply Canada against the USSR. I don't know how they got to best of 8. I don't know how that works. Doesn't make any sense, but things were different in 72. And so just because the US-Canada thing was so good, but I'm with you. We need to incorporate everybody and have two spots, right? You want to have two roster spots for, players who are not American or Canadian or something along those lines. But I think we go to 5 or 6 or 8 nations, and you hope for the matchup we got in Boston on Thursday night.